The sensible thing would have been to stop wrapping and focus purely on rebuilding the car, but mentally, it felt better to keep.
We still had 2 rear quarters left to wrap, the entire front end to build, and honestly, nothing about this felt durable or finished yet.
The rear quarter was next.
In the heart of the workshop, the 812 weights, a symphony of engineering paused mid-composition.
They were partially wrapped already, which made sense. It's easier to finish them once they're on the car.
So that's what we did.
We'd already had to piece the roof together because we were seriously short on wrap, and now I was staring at one of the hardest sections of the car.
A new roll would have to come from America, and that would mean waiting.
To give ourselves the best chance, I ran knifeless tape along the roofline and along the inlay, so when the wrap went down, we'd get perfect, controlled cuts. The plan was to follow the body line perfectly, piece this section in cleanly, and make it look like one continuous panel.
We didn't have enough material left.
Because here's the reality. If this wrap failed, that was it.
But earlier, when I was cutting the material, I misjudged it and came up short.
So this had to work. It wouldn't work. No pressure. At this point, everything slows down.
Every movement matters.
Driver's door wrapped. Even with the handle stuck in place, they worked around it flawlessly.
Then came the big piece, the one that wraps the rear quarter and runs all the way up the A-pillar.
I've taught myself all of this over time. That realization alone adds another layer of pressure.
2 hours for one side. Some parts were new, some secondhand, sourced from all over the place.
It was going to be tight.
With no time to dwell on it, we moved straight on.
Doors, bonnet, bumper, everything.
The next priority was getting the radiator pack installed. We managed to source a second-hand one, which was a massive win given how hard parts for this 812 are to find.
First, the crash bars had to come off.
After that came the oil lines.
The originals were kinked beyond saving, so these went straight in as brand new replacements.
Finding parts for this car hasn't been easy. With the rad pack mostly assembled, we slid it onto the car, connected the bottom hose, pushed it into its mounts, and tightened everything down.
Then I crawled underneath to connect the oil feed and return lines for the oil cooler. The air conditioning radiator was another hurdle. We couldn't find a second-hand one anywhere, so that had to be bought brand new.
We couldn't find a second-hand one anywhere, so that had to be bought brand new.
Liam bolted in the lower mounts while I handled the top ones. The radiator slides into place, then locks down once everything's aligned.
The pipes came off the old unit and transferred across, and finally, everything started to look like it belonged there again.
By the time the rad pack was fully installed, it was clear we weren't finishing this in one stretch.
We paused the timer and called it for the night. The next morning, reality hit hard.
If we were going to get anywhere near finishing this in a reasonable time, we had to move fast.
2.5 hours remained on the restarted clock, and we still had an entire rear quarter to wrap. Each one clips electrically, then bolts in from inside the car.
Then all the boot trim followed.
Every piece takes time, and rushing any of it would only create problems later.
As the final trims went in, the countdown hit 0.
24 hours of labor, and the truth was obvious.
We were nowhere near done.
Structural work, wrapping, mechanical repairs. We underestimated all of it.
We reset the timer.
It was about finding out how long it actually takes to rebuild one properly.
And the answer was clearly more than 24 hours.
With the pressure lifted, everything felt different.
Calmer. More deliberate.
I finished reinstalling the boot trims and removed the neutral release tool from the gearbox, hoping that the next time
Wiring was tidied up.
Next, we tackled the horn. Two broken wires had been ripped out when the bumper was destroyed. My dad soldered them back together, heat shrunk the repair, taped it properly, and bolted the horn back onto the aluminum frame Bob had welded earlier.
We tested it.
It worked. Yeah, it was for the Rio ready. I will over the jump ready that was what you're getting, but
The front shroud was next, the one that holds the air filters, ECUs, and a mess of electronics. We sourced it secondhand, slid it into place, bolted it to the radiator housing, and clipped the ECUs back in.
Thankfully, none of the electronics had been damaged in the crash.
New air filters went in, the housings followed, and the MAF sensors were reconnected. Step by step, the front end came back to life.
Then came the wings.
The real concern was whether the aluminum frame underneath, which had been bent and adjusted so many times, was actually in the right position. The first wing went on.
Then the second.
I know, Eigenstein. That was a huge relief.
Next were the headlights.
Brand new from Ferrari.
just under 1,000 pounds each.
Doors followed.
The original doors, now refitted with repaired airbags and all the wiring. They lifted onto the hinges, bolted in, and one by one, the connectors were fed through and reattached.
Headlights worked.
At this point, it was obvious. We should have brought in professional rappers from the start.
Wrapping the car ourselves cost us hours. So we called Keezy Customs in to finish the remaining panels, while I focused on mechanical problem solving. And immediately, the difference was obvious.
While that happened, Liam rebuilt the front bumper, grills, trims, badges, everything.
Holes were drilled to mount the Ferrari badge properly.
This is where patience matters most.
Ferrari shims were removed, swapped, relocated.
At this point, we'd passed 41 hours of labor.
But there was still one major concern left.
The oil. Even after multiple flushes earlier, it had been milky. Old wheels went on just to move the car onto the ramp.
Then came the wheels.
They went on.
Up in the air it went.
That's when the worry returned.
Underneath, the damage told another story. When the oil drained, it was still milky.
With the engine warm, trims and covers went back under the bonnet.
So we pressurized the cooling system. It didn't hold. Then we saw it.
A hose at the front of the car split.
We replaced the hose, refilled the system, pressurized it again.
This time, it held. Finally, after the 6th flush, the oil came out clean.
That was the green light.
And that's when we moved on to the final transformation.
That small win mattered more than it should have.
The interior finally started to feel complete again.
Ignition on.
No warning lights apart from tire pressure and an open door.
It started instantly.
Cold start.
Windows worked.
Slowly but surely, the back of the car came together.
And next, we drive it. This Ferrari is back.